Hello everybody, I'm Janae Adams, and those that do not know me, I am an international speaker who speaks about personal finance, financial literacy. And so this video and the topic I'm about to talk about is very important to me, and it's about the Great Recession. We are basically running up on the 10-year anniversary of it. Now, a lot of people say it started in December 2007, but when it really hit the fan was around September 2008. And I remember that time very well, mainly because I was unemployed, newly unemployed. I had a 1-year-old at home, and I had found out that our household was in $50,000 of debt, not including our mortgage. We had a $400 car payment. We had a student loan to worry about, as well as a mortgage, daycare, and other bills. So I was a little stressed. And did I mention that I did not have health insurance either? So you can imagine how stressed I was at that time in 2008. But this video is not about that. This video is about today and where we are as a country, where we are as Americans today. And for those of you who are watching from other countries, we all know that in 2008, when America caught a cold, the world caught pneumonia when it came to the Great Recession. So this is important for you as well. So in 2008, we know that the economy basically went off the cliff, and we knew how much Americans were in debt. And that's why it was so easy for mortgages to come due, foreclosures, as well as people losing their jobs. All of that came to a head in 2008. Well, it's 10 years later, and are we any better off? The answer is absolutely not. We recently found out that Americans owe $13.2 trillion. $13.2 trillion in debt. That is a record high. That means it's higher than any time before, including 2007 and 2008. And why that is a problem is because basically for the last 10 years, everybody's been riding on a nice little high. Interest rates have been low. It's been easier to borrow money and so forth. And so people have borrowed money, and they now are in as much debt as they were in 2007, 2008. Maybe people don't think that bad times can come again, but actually experts are already predicting that in the next few years there's going to be another recession. They don't know how massive that recession may be, but regardless, it's a recession. And so if you're in debt, you are at risk because of that. So I wanted to give you 3 tips of what you can do to make sure that you don't get hit by the recession going forward. And so when it hits, that you're not going to be one of the people who are losing, but actually one of the people who are winning. So the first tip is get in the know. You need to know how much debt you are in. If you're in debt today, you need to know how much it is down to the penny. And I'm talking about you need to know the total amount. So at the time, I was $50,000 in debt. So if that was today, I would know that the total is 50 grand, and that the individuals, which you need to know as well, was 25 for the student loans and 25 for the car. Okay, so I knew exactly what I was in debt to. And you need to know it to the exact penny. You also need to know who you owe that debt to. You'll be surprised how many companies sell your debt to other companies, and who you took the loan out with at first no longer owns that same loan. So you need to know who you are paying. Also, you can even take it one step further and know what your payments are each month, so that when it's time to pay extra on it, you can make sure that you're putting the right amount of money towards principal and not towards interest. Okay? The next thing you need to do is to make sure that you understand that you don't need to go into any more debt. Okay? You don't need to go in any more debt, so stop the madness. From this day forward, if you're already in debt, don't go into any more. You really need to dig out of the hole that you've already dug, and you can't do that by taking on more debt. That goes for those who are not in debt at all as well. Do not take any on any debt, because a storm is coming. I'm going to talk about that next. But you need to be prepared, and you can't be prepared for that recession that is coming if you have debt. You can't go into more of it, or don't go into it at all. So start paying it off month by month so that you can be either close to being debt free or completely debt free when the recession does hit. And last but not least, like I said, the storm is coming. So you need to get a financial umbrella. That is your in case you're breathing fund, and that's what I call it, because if you're breathing, something is bound to happen. And so I want your savings account built up as best as you can. So definitely those who are paying off debt, your in case you're breathing fund should be $1,500 to $2,000 saved. And if you're completely out of debt, you need to have at least 6 months to a year. I like a year of expenses saved, but at least 6 months of expenses saved. So look at your household expenses, calculate them out, what the total is, and you need 6 months of that or a year of that. And that will make sure that you weather any storm that will be coming in the next few years. I seen a report this morning actually talking about in the next year or so, because of the Treasury yield bonds are about to invert, and they have basically predicted the last 7 recessions when that happens. So I think it may be a couple of years. This report is talking about in the next year or so. So because of that, I wanted to do these 3 tips. I hope you take it to heart. Like I said, it's been 10 years, and it looks like we as Americans have learned nothing at all, because we're in more debt than we were during that time. And what was so great about another report that I read, an article, is that a couple of years after the Great Recession, that these people were paying down debt. You know, you look like we had learned our lesson. I learned my lesson because I paid off the 50 grand of debt in 2 years. So by 2010, I was debt free. Okay, so I learned my lesson. But there were other people learning their lessons. It was people that were bumping up their savings because they felt the madness of 2008. I mean, really think about how you felt in 2008, 2009. If you didn't like that feeling, then you should be making sure that you're not in any debt going forward. But after those 2 years, people started basically ramping back up their spending. They completely forgot about the nightmare that was 2008, about people basically at Lehman Brothers after it basically went bankrupt and went out of business. Seeing those workers, I watched it on CNBC, go in there, clean out their desks, come out with their boxes. I seen people losing their houses. I seen people losing their retirement. We all remember Bernie Madoff, the greatest heist in the history of heist. He did that, and that happened because of the crash. He couldn't keep his Ponzi scheme going. I remember all of that. And if you remember even a fraction of what happened in 2008, how you felt, if you felt any fear like I did during that time, you should really get your money together from going from this day forward, okay? If anybody has any questions, feel free to put it in the comment section below. And I am Janae Adams once again. Feel free to reach out to me either in the comments as a DM or to me and my team at the website that is listed in the post. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.